Okay.
Okay.
So, hello everyone. Another Monday and another Go Live Coding. And actually, before the recording start, we have started the talk about something that we kind of left out last week. It was about how we can create a script reference UTXO using Apollo. Uh, Basically, it means attaching a seaboard contract to a UTXO and publish it on chain. So later we can use that UTXO as reference inputs or quote unquote read-only UTXO to any transaction, uh, and even for some validation as well, which is something that we can talk about it later. I'm referring to a trick called zero withdraw. We have actually, I have a transaction. I can show you how it is possible to implement zero withdraw. And if you have some idea in regards to DEXs and implement some DEX or exchange anything on chain, I mean, on Cardano, definitely you need to look into zero withdraw trick. I mean, so far it is zero withdraw. Who knows, in future there might be something called observant contract. I mean, Bluetooth version 4. I mean, still, this is an ongoing discussion with Bluetooth team. You can find the discussion in one of the issue in Bluetooth repository. So yeah, so right now we are talking about this thing, and I talked with Eduardo, the author of Apollo library, and I hope he can join us today. And the idea was he's going to implement this script reference functionality to the library, and once it is there, and once he does the test in his own end, and then I will continue implementation of that so-called or quote-unquote islands or palettes, if you guys remember from this previous discussion, to Andamio CLI. So this is the idea. I don't know, but he's going to be here or not. Meanwhile, we were talking, me and Chris and Aurora, of course, talking about this part, and we have some suspect that the Sunday Swap guys pushed this thing and they just didn't implement that. And uh, we had this discussion, and I just want to say, I believe this script ref is attachment to UTXO, I mean, so-called or quote unquote transaction output. UTXO basically means unspent transaction output, right? So it's transaction output. And another reason is I'm doing other transaction, and Apollo actually wants to get the Apollo transaction, I mean, like a seaboard, and try to deserialize it. You will end up with this seaboard. If I just let it bit make it smaller so you can see what's going on. So this is a bunch of stuff in a transaction, as inputs, all this, and all of them following a seaboard standard. And there are several RFC that help this seaboard to be uh, formatted, created. And the thing is, there is this part. There is this part in if you are using especially later version of I mean from 1.011 till the later one. For Yeah, okay. From this part, from this version to the or maybe even previous, but I haven't tested. But from this version, you might see this empty bracket, which is the tree. And if we look at to the uh, the CDD file for Conway, uh, which Conway was soft fork happened last Valentine. So we just added this guy, and if you see what is this, I mean, this is the again standard. You can see and read about it, but we have two parts in the transaction. One part is a witness side, which is this guy, and another part is the whole transaction, which has all sort of information, inputs. These are reference, for example, reference inputs, the UTXOs, that's not going to be spent, read-only, all these things. These are the four things is the witness S key, I mean signing keys, and you can read all about it. Or for example, this is the fee and etc. And here's the part where signing happens, the contracts, redeemers, and of course their memory and CPU execution included as well. And here there is this tree. And let's look at what the hell is this tree, which I suspect it is this guy, sorry, the guy I just showed you. Uh, a script ref. But let's make sure this is it. So if we look at, this is the transaction part, this is transaction body, and there should be another part which talks about these numbers. And we can see there are again another numbering and talks about like what is this 4, 5, 3, etc. So okay, this is the DREP stuff, voting stuff, which we will talk about it later. I mean, how many? I don't know. So okay, transaction witness set. So that part's called transaction witness set. And so you can see, well, let's take for example, 5 are redeemer. And we can see, yeah, of course, 5 are redeemers. You see, there are these several contracts happening here. I mean, this the transaction, there are 3 contracts, so 3 redeemers. And 0 is the signature. I mean, the signing of stuff. You can see VK witness. And there's this guy, 3. And they call it Pultus V1 script, and 6 Pultus V2 script, and of course 3. So based on this, maybe this thing I was wrong actually. Maybe this is wasn't the thing, because it's 3. So it should be 6, for example, right? But I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it still the script we
Yeah,
will attach to UTX script, or no?
I think you're looking at the
Yes.
wrong place. The 3 here, or these here, are just it's all signing the transaction. Even the script one is just the script signing the transaction. You probably want the script ref stuff that's in the transaction output, but I'm not entirely sure.
Script. I wonder, do we have a really dedicated place for this thing? A script data hash. It is a transaction body. A script hash. Script hash. A script ref. Post on the transaction. Put address value data option. A script ref. So this is, I think, the UTXO a style of post Alonso, which has the address and value and data option, if any, and the reference. So okay, that is 3. So how we can do this script ref? Where can we put this script ref? Unfortunately, I don't have a transaction. Adrian is here. Adrian, do you think do we have a transaction in Andamio access token transaction folder, which the transaction is about creating a reference script, attaching a smart contract to UTXO. Do we have that here? I mean,
I'm
somewhere.
not sure if I've stored them. No, I don't think so. Is there something with init in front of it?
I don't know, honestly.
No. Is there a transaction where init is in front of it? No.
We don't have, I don't see it anyone, but
No, then I haven't stored them.
but do you have any in your system a transaction
Sure.
CBOR which was produced or was belonged to a creation of a script reference? I would love to deserialize it and see where exactly that CBOR is in that body.
Do you want a raw or a signed one?
Signed one would be better, probably, because we have that witness set as well. And here we have attached the Protos videos for preview for bluffing. Okay, there is this link. And it's shared regards to attaching a script to a UTX. So
Mix, I sent you one on Discord. I think that should have an script reference attached. Create one.
okay. Thank you very much. Let me copy it. And connect from
No, down here at 207 right here. See,
attach. Okay.
we do this if we don't have a reference input. So in the preview network, we don't have a reference input. It's not already deployed. So we include the script.
And if you include it, it means like it's like you are using the script for validation. It doesn't mean that we are
Yes.
attaching that script to the UTXO or to any of these outputs.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Okay. And this will be once we use this, and if we deserialize this CBOR, these Bluetooth will end up here, like 3 or 6 or somewhere. Like the whole CBOR will be there to be seen. Have you guys deserialized that CBOR to see?
I
think it
believe
would be
this.
here,
I
right?
believe the script CBOR would end up in like one of the auxiliary fields on the transaction, but you'd get a signature from it in the transaction witness set, and its hash in the transaction body, but none of that is in the actual transaction output.
But if you
think so
remember,
too.
the thing is, if you remember, guys, in Protos version 1, the reason we migrated to Protos version 2 and whole idea of script reference was we had to attach that CBOR, and that CBOR made the transaction expensive because it was attached. Whereas in
Yeah,
Protos 2, we were just referencing to it. No? Wow. So this is the CBOR I just got from Adrian for creating a. We can obviously see that this is a big CBOR. So we can see that there is this smart contract. But let's see where exactly. Yep, here it is. So this is a smart contract, and it is at 6, which we saw belongs to V2. And in future, if we want to make this thing a script reference for Bluetooth version 3, you have to use for 7. And I suspect, I mean, actually, this transaction building pressure, I don't know this will be there as well, but probably maybe we can look to the functions and see where this thing actually get included in the code. But if it is same, I don't know. I don't know. No. It's not. But we can see that, yeah, this is actually the transaction body is small. It starts from here till here somehow. No. Okay, that's see, guys. So at the end, in this transaction, did you use a reference script or no? Did you attach the transaction, the CBOR, the smart contract itself to the transaction? Do you remember?
no, that should. Wait, let me look to verify.
Because I see the smart contract in the 6, and we can see the smart contract. There is a smart contract in this attachment. This is attachment to the output. If you guys remember that this was the let's go back to the standards 0 was some number was, yeah. Address, no, not this one.
Mix, yes, I'm using a minting policy.
So you've added the contract itself to the transaction.
Yeah,
even
but
when
also it has two reference scripts.
Mhm. So yeah, so based on this output, we had 0, 1, 2, and 3. So basically 3 means in an output means a smart contract. This is the datum, this is the smart contract. And these are the values, and this is the address. Okay, so one thing that we don't have right now is this guy. So I'm sorry, I was mistaken. If you want to attach UTXO, a CBOR to UTXO, we have to attach it here in the transaction output to this guy instead of witness, which Arrow point out, and yeah, we were looking to wrong place. But let's see, did Eduardo came? No, he didn't. So actually, I have another question, and I have another things that since Adrian is here. So Adrian, I've finished that transaction for submitting, okay? And sorry, clear everything. Okay, it's wrong. And then I was trying to do the burn transaction, I mean the local. Here's the thing, and here's actually the so-called weird, again, behavior. The behavior, the problem is, actually, guys, if you are looking, I'm talking about Andamio smart contracts and all this backend. We are using Apollo and Golang as well, and also some other stuff. And hopefully we will talk about this in details because, like, as you can see, it's kind of much more complicated and advanced transaction building. So yeah, so the idea is we have 3 contracts in this transaction, 2 are spending and 1 burning happens here. And then there is this update of datums, which we are using. Actually, I had this meeting with Eduardo updating. We updated this thing. There is something called Bluetooth encoder, and Bluetooth encoder essentially take the data from on-chain and convert it to Golang parts or Golang types, and then convert the Golang types or its value to the on-chain data format, whether it is datum or redeemer. So, for example, here I had something called, this is the redeemer. The Bluetooth constraint is 1 or 0, and it has this guy as the values, and this is a structure in Golang. And if you go look into the structure, it has 3 parts. It's a list of a string and a string, and again, we have to have. I mean, the Bluetooth encoder has a very specific structure to read these things, like if they are nested. So you guys can check out the Apollo and the Bluetooth encoder thing. The thing is, there were things wasn't there. For example, the list of a string we just added. I don't think it would be there. Maybe would be there if you look to the order asset. So we have several branch in Apollo, and the branch me and Eduardo were working on that called order asset. And in order asset, you should see that, yeah, several days ago, we just added bool types as well. So if you have Boolean in your Bluetooth, in your Golang, or actually in your Bluetooth, and then you want to use it in your Golang as well to get the data, fit the data, all this thing, for example. Does a user minted the NFT or token or not? Like, this is a very kind of standard for many datum. You can use it as Boolean and then putting these things front of it, which is actually typical for deserializing, whether it's JSON or Python or whatever, or even the databases. So yeah, you have to add this in. It is a standard structure in Golang and bool. And once you do that, in the Bluetooth encoder file, I mean, I have it in locally because I was messing around with it as well. But if you see Bluetooth encoder here in this folder, you will find these types. And I mean, of course, the documentation sucks, of no question. But it's just died to open this. So there are these parts, like you can read about this structure, and if you have question, sure, come and ask us. But in this file, we have this deserialization for addresses, different sort of addresses, and of course for different types. For example, a string bytes. Normally, if you put any string in a data redeemer, it has to be string byte. But if you use a policy ID in your data redeemer, so a specific policy ID type, for example, do we have something here again? A policy ID somewhere? If yes, I don't know. The code do we have, like, in your Haskell code, if even in your AKN code, if you use policy ID, essentially you have to use sorry, going back to where I was. You have to use a hex string, because if you use a string bytes, it will again rehex that hex string, which is not ideal. So there are these little bit stuff that you might need. And of course, what we added was indefinitely, sorry, Boolean. Where is Boolean? Address, indef, x, byte, bool. Yeah. And this was the thing, because Boolean is basically, again, this structure, but different. Like if it is tag 122 is true, if it is tag 121, it's false. And the tags, you guys can read it again in these CBOR stuff. We need these tags. And yeah, these are CBOR stuff. But the thing is about this problem, we had this problem for this LSG and solved this. We have no problem right now, and there are all these things happening and work, so we can see it. But the thing is, I get the memory and CPU execution for all of these contracts, and it's been added to the transaction and to this part. For example, this is a transaction was successful, and we can see this is the memory execution, this is a CPU execution unit. And once it is there, we can kind of say for sure that that validation happened. So the validation happened, no problem asked, because if there was a problem, we should have seen empty, nothing here. I mean, this is kind of the behavior I've witnessed. But today, I mean, 2 days ago, I was proven wrong, and now I see this thing, but the transaction is not possible to be submitted. Let's look at today, get together and see what's going on. So let me do this query stuff as well. I'm making this query. Where are you? Yeah. And by the way, I get this error, but let's see again and see what is the error. And I cannot submit the transaction as well, no matter what, it's invalid. But anyway, let's just do this. I mean, reloading and querying. So once I query, I should get this. Well, this is wrong. Wrong. Something was not right. So okay. Oh, I see. Actually, I did something else here because I was getting error. I kind of bypassed the getting the information from the backend. Now it is like that. But because it's throw an error, yeah. But let me show you first this guy, and maybe you guys can notice something. So we can see that if we use a function called evaluate tx, and evaluate tx essentially means Apollo graph your seaboard, which is this guy, convert it to byte string, send it to block for us or uh, any blockchain explorer. Actually, we have the Maestro here as well. So sorry, we have Maestro, so it is possible to evaluate with Maestro as well. But anyway, it will return the evaluation for the smart contracts involved in the transaction. And once the evaluation comes back, it will submit the values inside the seaboard. And now your transaction is ready to be signed again if it is multi-sig, if not, start getting submitted. So if we just copy this seaboard and clear this and deserialize it, we can see clearly that these three contracts got their number from Block Frost and Apollo substituted. But interestingly enough, when I use the same function, evaluate tx, it returns empty. And since it is essential to get the evaluation from the smart contracts and to be attached or added or replaced in the seaboard, if it returns 0, the transaction basically fails. So it's not a valid transaction. So somehow Apollo does this evaluate tx. I've looked at, actually we can see, I mean, in the complete, we can look into it. And actually Apollo use exact this function, but we can see it together. It returns something. It returns something. It goes through it, read it, and add all these one by one appropriately, because it's important, like which one belongs to which, right? And we have two spending contracts. Who knows which one belongs to which? So this is a thing getting considered by Apollo, no problem. But when I want to use the same function, I get empty. And I don't understand what's happening. But let's look at to the complete. And if I take this seaboard and try to submit it manually, I could be comment this guy and putting this guy here. And if I try to run this again, I can see that, yeah, I got my eternal. So yeah, that was successful for deserialization of, and I'm using mesh, by the way. So it is possible to see these are the three UTXO reference, aka contracts. Like all of these are contracts. They have some stuff like a validity token inside the authentication token, aka, and some input, some output, etc. Okay, so I can just want to sign it, and 10 minutes still it is valid, so no problem, right? But let's try to submit it. And maybe, you know, I wasn't able to successfully submit it. Maybe I can submit it in front of you guys, because, you know, there are some sort of unwritten rules that everything works once you bring it to the repairman, or if you want to show the, and if you want to demo something, absolutely it doesn't work, especially if the client is very important. So let's see which case is this case. So I try to submit it, loading, invalid. wasn't able to submit that transaction, and I was getting this error. So if you look at this error,
Can you oh yeah, can you maybe copy the error message?
sure. Let me take this guy, copy it, paste it in your chat, in your Discord. So what is essentially it's saying, this error, maybe you will see it in future once you do. I mean, we have so much unknown errors looming around. Well, that's kind of things. But the error is saying the redeemer, you see that error, missing redeemers. The redeemer is missing. There should be an input, and the input's coming from a contract. And since the protocol says if something comes from a contract, you have to attach a redeemer, you have to spend it by a redeemer. That's a law. And of course, it has to have a datum as well. So the law says redeemer, and I'm seeing missing redeemer. But we have the redeemer. And if we look at the things that say, hey, it doesn't have redeemer, there is this ID. This is the transaction and its index. So D85. D85 in the transaction is one of the inputs to be a spend. This is the guy. So if we count it as a 1, 2, 3, so this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, we should see here that okay, no, sorry, I think I'm mistaken. It should start from 0. Like this is 0, 1, 2, like 0, 1, 2, 3, or start from 1 to 3. Sorry, it start from 0. So because we can see like there are, so these numbers, these indexes, you see that 0, 2, and 0. These are belongs to these inputs, and order matter, and we have 0 as well. So for example, this guys, this is again, I think a spending UTXO. This is the minting contract, and this is the spending contract and related to spending UTXO. So it say, hey, I belong to the what? To the input number 0, which is this guy. And then this guy says, I belong to input number 2, but since it starts from 0, basically it is the 3. And if we count from 0, it's okay, 0, 1, 2. So exactly the one the front says I have problem and I don't have a redeemer. So something is not right here. I have a redeemer. And interestingly enough, the redeemer is sufficient enough for the smart contract itself, for the Apollo itself, to get execution and execution units, memory and CPU. So it works. It works, and if it returns error, because maybe I should remind you, a smart contract in Cardano is basically a Boolean. It is not Boolean of true false. It is a Boolean of error or no error. If it is an error, it throws an error, it doesn't work, returns 0, absolutely. Armageddon start. But if it just doesn't throw an error for you, it's fine. Like the validation happened. And of course, if you try to read the contract, I mean the function, you should see, yeah, this is the contract, for example, this guy has a Boolean. I mean, this is the Haskell guy. It's a Boolean. It's true, false. But essentially, in the lower level, it's error or no error. That's the case. And so no error happens. And since no error happens, we get these things. I mean, that's the idea. And somehow, when I send same seaboard to block frost, after getting this thing, I get empty. So in some place, somehow it works, and afterward it doesn't. That's puzzling me, and I don't know what's going on. Any idea?
From
any
which
question.
validator is that spinning? Is that the code state, I guess? The local state?
Yeah, local state.
Yeah.
That the local state is the, I mean, the front says, yeah, the local state, because this, I mean, it says this guy has issue. I mean, actually, it says that this guy's is the issue, and this guy's is course, I mean, or a state, local state, of course, UTXO, which we are going to expand it and,
What
sending back the
constructor do you
data to
have?
the pool policy.
What constructor?
Sorry?
What constructor for the redeemer?
Constructor is actually, I looked to the transaction also you provided in the repo and copy it. This is the burn local state sign.
It's just
And,
one. There's no additional data.
and if you look to the redeemer side, we can see kind of essentially they are kind of same. Like if I just zoom in, I mean, if you just ignore this empty bracket, you see the structure is same. But for you, that for the transaction you've submitted successfully via Cardano CLI, yeah, this is 3, which is 4. We can look at the top, but the structure is same. And if you want to show you the structure of the code itself, I mean the
Mix, what are you using
redeemer.
for the list that's needed? Is it a def list or undef?
It is it is def list. If I use in-def, it would be this. I can change it, but sure. Okay, let me change it
Yeah,
and
but
see.
because I remember that we had in one of the other transactions there was the problem, the def list.
No, that wasn't. Never it was. So for the folks that doesn't know, in seaboard serialization in Cardano, I mean, at least in the whole seaboard, but in Cardano, you can craft your datum and redeemer in two style or two kind of, I don't know if you say standard or something. There is two kind of list in seaboard: indefinite list and definite list. I don't go to the details like what are the difference, but the essential difference, where should we use it or what. But the thing is, a small contract understand both of them. And we try that. But if using indefinite list, will add at least 2 characters for each list you are going to use. And the 2 characters is one underline, another a space. So we have an option. Actually, this is Apollo is doing. I didn't see any function or options regards to choosing definite or indefinite list with Lucid Mesh or Atlas. I don't know. Maybe I can say maybe Atlas provide that, but Apollo can provide that. So you can, if you use def list, you see the structure is saying, but we don't have that. And what would be the advantage? Well, these are costly. And you might say, okay, how much? So after average, if the datum is big, if the redeemer is big, I tested that on a big datum and redeemer, actually, the difference was around 10,000 Lovelace. So if you use just indefinite list compared to definite list, which is removing these parts, you are reducing the cost almost 10,000 Lovelace. That's all. But there is this issue, and we can look into it. And I'm going to change this definite list to def list, and also in that Bluetooth encoder, you guys remember, we have this part, we have these two. I mean, we can have used both definite list and map also. I didn't use map. I didn't have the need to use it, but we have indefinite list. So let's test Adrian suggestion. So this is the token information, update, state, change, burn, redeemer. Going to use the indefinite list, and there should be this guy, update. And both of them indefinite list. And but let's try this out and see what's going to happen. If not, I'm going to change the datum as well, because in the transaction itself, we have a datum. We have a datum attached to this transaction, and I've looked into that as well. Again, this is a datum from the transaction of Apollo. And this is the datum attached to the global state from your transaction. I'm going to just display it in 2-page. Well, actually, let's do it under one. So as you can see, my version is definite list. You see that we don't have this guy, but your version is indefinite list. And a Cardano CLI, everyone actually, most of the guys are using indefinite list. But anyway, so again, same kind of same. So I'm just adding same module, same thing, same number, different users, and same thing, different users. So the datum is again at least a structure. I mean, even the tags are same. But let's try that out with this guy. Sorry, I forgot to add this. I mean, okay, it's still we got the error, but let's look at to the transaction we just built. So we see that now that the transaction we just built converted from definite list to indefinite list. You see now we have these two characters, but we didn't touch the datum. Let's touch the datum. Let's convert the datums as well and see what will happen. So the datum we are using for this serialize and serialize, okay, one is burn state datum, and you know what? Let me do this. Copying the relative path, putting this sorry, relative path. Should have had that. No, copy the path, put it here. And then let's come back here, choose indefinite list, and then going here, convert every single definite list to indefinite list. Okay, sounds good. And let's convert them. And I think we should have no problem. Okay, let me again stop the server backend, rerun it, compile it, rerun it. And now let's test this out. And still we got the same error. And if we deserialize this guy, we can see now everyone are indefinite lists. And if we take that data, I just deserialized and showed you that it was definite list, which was at top. If I convert this guy, it is indefinite list, but still same issue. So to my experience, changing definite and indefinite were at, and the only impact of validation, these errors, whatever, the only impact was the cost, the cost of transaction. It is cheaper. Actually, we can see that even where is this? Like it, I mean, is this the cost? I think this is the cost. Because 60, I mean, this is not true, but let's, if it is 600, this is the cost of this guy. let's look at hop. So 655 for 428. So here, for example, we just you see that how much the number it's around 100 Lovelace. See, it was this guy. I mean, if we look a little bit upper, so yeah, it was 655, 296. So we just converted every, and it doesn't have that much of big data on Redeemer, and it affected a couple of hundreds. Lovely, see that's 100. But if you do with the nested and big data on Redeemer, which I've done, it might reach around 10,000 lovely. So maybe it doesn't worth okay, but in the future, but yeah. That's the issue, and unfortunately, Eduardo didn't come here. I wanted to ask him maybe something is wrong here. But just I want to show you that the complete function, which we have to add at the end of the transaction, use evaluate tx for evaluating and getting the, you see there is this estimate, I mean, no, sorry, not this estimate fee. Evaluate. The index, update this guy. So updating the X unit, and updating means it will, if we go to the function, this function is going to go through the redeemers, find, you see the tags, the corresponding UTXOs, all sorts of stuff, and get the a value and substitute. So where from this guy? So we have a function estimate EX unit, and if we go to it, we can see the whole thing just fall into evaluate TX. So somehow this function works. Evaluate TX returns something. But when I use it, same function, evaluate TX, we can look at it. See, I can go to the definition of evaluate TX. This is, well, this is, I mean, this is interface. When I go to the type definition. But if I just go again here, the same thing. If I go to the Go definition, okay, this comes here, but that is an interface, which is this guy, you know, evaluate TX. But this is it's the same function. Yeah, where is it? This is essentially the same function. Just accept the bytes and returns it. And somehow it doesn't work when I use it, but somehow it works. And he uses it. I mean, Apple uses it. Any suggestion or idea?
So yeah, Mix,
Nope.
if you look at the error message you sent to me, it
Okay.
says the redeemer is missing. So it's not the wrong redeemer, it's missing. So it seems like Apollo
So
some
what does it mean missing? So it means like
yeah, no,
it
look,
is
does not
here.
exist. So you want to spend a Bluetooth transaction from a Bluetooth script, and there is no redeemer which is needed to sign a transaction that's locked at the validator. So just a guess, but I think Apollo somehow doesn't attach it to the correct script. Or
Maybe this is wrong. Maybe these two should be 3. You see, because in the transaction itself, I'm using this to collect from. One collect from is coming from your, I mean, this is the guy. User local state UTXO. And since, I mean, sorry, this is the one actually it's complaining Wait a minute. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I should have put this guy at top and this guy at the top.
The order shouldn't matter.
No, global state has the redeemer state change mint. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. It's the
And
same you have
the
for
local
minting.
state has it is something like it's just empty, like just like this is the redeemer.
Yeah, but there
So
should be
the
a
problem is local
constructor.
state.
There should be a constructor for local state.
For local state?
Yeah, you have constructor one. It's just a constructor.
Yeah, but it is constructor one, which is 122.
True.
But the problem, it is saying that error for redeemer belongs to this UTXO. I see. So this UTXO is local state, Adrian. If I
Yeah.
can just show you again. No, I have to get query it again. That so this is an address. Actually, you know what? Let me take this one and again doing that manual stuff. By the way, we are about the end of the session. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion, but just for the last point to show you that the problem of that redeemer, which actually I got another pop-up from the Eternal here. See all this thing and signing. So we are going to see that error, and we can see the user global state. This is the UTXO. It says I have problem with.
Yeah, but then isn't it a
See.
global state, UTXO?
This is the global state, and it says I don't get global state UTXOs. Global state UTXO redeemer, I don't have it. Missing redeemer. Here, this redeemer belongs to global state. Am I right
Yeah.
or not? This redeemer belongs to global state, right? I mean, the type is, sorry, the type of the redeemer is update token information, constructor one, and update token information has update CS and list of BBS list to change.
Yeah.
Right? Am I right?
Should be
Is it
correct,
okay?
yes.
Okay.
But in the first,
So
no, that's not correct. No. Structure.
and here I've added the correct. So a state change redeemer means this is the guy, you know, the Marshall, I Marshall it. It looks fine, but here is the thing, and here's the confusing thing. If there was a problem, redeemer, we shouldn't get these numbers.
So
The contract shouldn't validate, but the contract validate, but the transaction cannot be submitted.
Mix the first constructor, you have two. That's constructor two. Am I right?
This is constructor two, all right? Are you sure?
No, that should be one.
Look, okay.
It should be constructor one.
It is constructor one. State change. Constructor one, constructor zero. Should be this true.
No, that's correct.
True?
No, that's correct. That's correct.
And as I said, if it was wrong, if there was an issue, if I was using a redeemer that doesn't exist, I shouldn't get these numbers.
Yeah.
But I get. And not just for this contract, for all of them, all these three. Somehow, once I get these, and again, I use the evaluate TX, suddenly block for us. Remember, oh, this transaction is problematic. I should have get the, I mean, I should have sent the numbers. So I don't know. But we reached the end of the session. Sorry guys, it wasn't that much of productive. If you guys wanted to do something, well, I wish for
Learning is learning,
Yeah.
right? we don't always get a lot of output from learning. Sometimes you know, it's the struggle that is what we learn from, right?
Indeed, indeed. I wish Eduardo could make it today, so we could have do many stuff. But I will contact him, and maybe he's going to be here next week, so we can do the thing that we planned for. If not, bring your question, guys, and I would love to see it very quickly, Chris and Aurora, to build same transaction, datum, everything with Go Roboros. You guys want to do it, right? I mean, build the transaction and submit it. So I'm looking forward to that day.
Yeah, we're still
And who knows?
we're still using we use Apollo for it. We convert from you know, the Gorbor Seawar and stuff like that, and our structs to Apollo before submitting. We currently don't have any of the signing stuff implemented because we've been supporting Apollo, right? You know what I mean? To kind of be like the one way to do it. You know, so we're trying to focus on improving Apollo if necessary, right? You know what I mean? Versus forking stuff and writing our own version of everything at this point.
I see. Okay, sounds good. So yeah, so let's see what comes next week. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great day and week, starting week, and see you next week. And if you have any question, please ask in the chat, in the Gimbalabs Discord. We have dedicated channel for these. And yep, take care. Goodbye.
Thanks, Mix. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye.